Ask me how much different Faith life, her whole life look, career look. Diddy told her he was gonna kill Biggie. She knew it was gonna happen.
You have such a history with Diddy who's being honored. What is a moment that you look back on in the past and you think, man, if you could have told us then we'd be at business party, he was gonna be honored. Like, we would have been shook.
It was Little Big, Little Diddy, CJ, Christian, Little Diddy. We just out here doing what we do.
Yo, check this out. Biggie's son, CJ Wallace, just stirred up major drama that's got everyone talking. He's throwing some serious shade at his own mom, Faith Evans, and even pulling Diddy into the mess. Can you believe it? According to folks close to him, CJ has been low-key suspicious for years, never buying the official story about Biggie's death. He's been keeping it cool in public, but behind the scenes, CJ's been real skeptical.
I know my father is looking down on all of us tonight. In all of this love and support. My sister and I will continue to carry on his name with tremendous pride and live my life by his words. Give it up for CJ.
Word is, CJ's convinced Diddy had a hand in Biggie's murder. That's huge, right? And to make it worse, he thinks Biggie was surrounded by fake friends, some of them even living under his roof. Imagine the betrayal. And it doesn't stop there. Let's talk about that whole Stevie J situation. Remember when Faith just randomly married Stevie back in 2018? Out of nowhere, boom, wedding bells. CJ wasn't just shocked, he was hurt. Faith didn't even tell her own son she was tying the knot.
I know some blogs are kind of said some mean things about your son and tried to say that he was gay. How do you feel about that? Because I think it's rude and people just insensitive in these blogs just talk so about it. Do you have any response to that?
No, I don't really feel a way about it. We know where he is. If he was, I would support him and love him just the same. So
he found out the same time we all did on social media. That's cold. And here's the kicker. Stevie J is CJ's godfather. Like what? That's just messy on so many levels. And if you've been keeping up with the Diddy drama, you know Stevie J wasn't just some random dude in the mix. He's been tight with Diddy for years. He helped build the bad boy empire back in the 90s, shaping that whole iconic sound. But here's where it gets really crazy. There's been talk for years about Stevie living a double life, and allegedly, he was right there at Diddy's wild free-for-all parties. People have been whispering for years, but this just adds more fuel to the fire. And guess what? Even when Diddy's whole world started falling apart, Stevie never left his side.
I don't know whatever someone does in their bedroom, that's what they do. I don't got nothing to do with that. I'm just here to say that I've never seen my man doing anything foul like they talking about. And then it's like with guys like 50, you know what I'm saying? Like Uncle Tom, cats like that. I just look at it as, he wants to bring the black community down worse than anyone else.
When the feds raided Diddy's spot last March, guess who was crashing at one of his cribs? Yup, Stevie J himself. This story just keeps getting messier and messier. All right, let's break this down. This whole thing is messy as hell. CJ's feeling some real type of way about his mom, Faith, marrying a dude from Diddy's inner circle, and he's basically saying Biggie got betrayed by people inside his own house. He hasn't dropped names, but the way he's hinting, it's not hard to see who folks think he's talking about. It's like CJ's pointing fingers without even having to say a word. But yo, this is just the start of the drama. Now here's where it gets even wilder. CJ himself has been hit with rumors about his own sexuality. Some people are out here whispering that Diddy and Stevie J being around him when he was growing up might have played a role in that. It's messy, and it's got people talking. So now everybody's asking, did Diddy force Faith to marry Stevie J? Like, was that some kind of cover-up move to keep her quiet about Biggie's death? Or was Faith just playing both sides the whole time, making sure she stayed on good terms with the right people? The whole thing's suspicious, right? And trust, there's been talk floating around that CJ's been quietly pulling away from his mom. The word on the street? CJ's been keeping his distance ever since rumors started popping up again about Faith knowing way more about Biggie's death than she ever let on.
Ask me how much different Faith life, her whole life look, career look. Diddy told her he was gonna kill Biggie. She knew it was gonna happen. she was purposefully not by her husband's side that night. It happened, and she was told she had to lie about it.
And yo, some folks online are saying it straight up. Faith was way tighter with Diddy than she ever made it seem. And allegedly, she knew the real deal the night Biggie got killed. People are pointing out how weird it was that Biggie didn't even want to go to LA in the first place. He knew things were tense after Pac died. It wasn't just bad luck that night, it was a setup. Yo, this story just keeps getting crazier. So Diddy pushed Biggie to go out to LA, even though Big was already feeling some type of way about it. And get this, Jaguar Wright came out saying that Diddy straight up told Faith Biggie wasn't gonna make it back that night. Like, what? That's insane if true. Now, throw in the fact that Faith was tied up with both Diddy and Stevie J, and it starts looking real shady. Faith's never once come out and condemned Diddy publicly, not even with all the mess going on. Fans are noticing. CJ barely posts about Faith anymore. He hasn't shouted her out on social media in years, doesn't celebrate her, nothing. It's like he's keeping things strictly surface level with his own mom, and you gotta wonder why. And then there's Stevie J's role in all this. Jaguar Wright pointed out how Faith and Stevie never made sense as a couple, just like Faith and Biggie didn't make sense either. It's like the whole thing was some twisted chess game. And Faith, she was a pawn. According to Jaguar, Diddy used Faith to control the narrative, get rid of both Pac and Big, and keep making money off Biggie's music long after he was gone.
You have such a history with Diddy who's being honored. What is a moment that you look back from in the past and you think, man, if you could have told us then we'd be at business party, he was gonna be honored, like we would have been shook.
That's a wild accusation, but it's got people talking. Let's be real for a second. If you were around back in the day, you already know Biggie and Faith's relationship never seemed solid. They didn't vibe like that, and Faith herself admitted it in her book. She wrote that they were never really a couple. Biggie was always doing his own thing, allegedly cheating left and right. Now look, this doesn't mean Faith definitely set Biggie up to get killed, but it does raise a ton of questions. Like, what was really going on between her and Diddy? And how much did she actually know about Diddy's alleged plan to get rid of Biggie and Pac too? The connections are messy, and folks are starting to wonder if she was more involved than anyone thought. Let's take it back for a second.
Ask me how much different Faith life, her whole life look, career look. Diddy told her he was gonna kill Biggie. She knew it was gonna happen.
In 1993, Faith packed up and moved to LA, chasing her music dreams. She started doing background vocals for R&B singer Al B. Sure, and before long, guess who noticed her? Yup, Diddy. After just one session in the studio, Diddy signed her on the spot. Faith became the very first female artist on Bad Boy Records, and that right there has always had fans asking, what really went down behind those closed doors? It's not just some random coincidence that she got signed so fast. Then in 1994, the same year she signed with Bad Boy, Faith met Biggie Smalls at a photo shoot. And get this, just weeks later, they were married. It was a whirlwind. And honestly, it never really made sense to a lot of people. While all this was going on, Faith was also laying down background vocals and co-writing tracks for Mary J. Blige's My Life album and Usher's debut album. She was grinding hard, but at the same time, she was tangled up in this crazy web of music, fame, and some seriously powerful men. With everything she had going on, working on her own music, recording for other artists, and getting married to Biggie, people can't help but wonder, was Faith really just a rising star? Or was there something deeper going on behind the scenes that nobody knew about?
Puffy gave you your start, now P. Diddy.
Yes.
Well, how do you think of him? P. Diddy or
I still
Puffy?
call him Puff.
You still call him Puff?
Mm-hmm.
So he gave you your start and you're still great friends?
Yeah, I actually saw him the other night. I stopped by a studio session he was at to tell him that I wanted him to come to my show at the House of Blues next week. So, yeah, we keep in touch. He sends my kids Christmas gifts.
All right, here's where the story really starts heating up. Faith's debut album dropped in August 1995 and it blew up. Hits like You Used to Love Me and Soon as I Get Home had her everywhere, and the album went platinum. Over 1.5 million copies sold. Faith was on fire. But while her music was taking off, her personal life, that was a whole different story. By 1996, Faith and Biggie had their son, CJ Wallace, but let's be real, things between them were already falling apart. Biggie was out here wild and hooking up with multiple women, including Lil' Kim. The rumors were flying and people were talking, and according to the streets, Faith wasn't just sitting around heartbroken. She allegedly got her revenge by hooking up with Tupac. Yeah, that Tupac. If that's true, it pulled her right into the middle of the East Coast versus West Coast beef, and we all know how that turned out. Two rap legends gone too soon and a mess of unanswered questions left behind.
Josh, his brother. Lil D-Rock. Lil B. Yeah. Yeah, but we having a good time, man. You know, look out for these kids, watch them on the rise. We just on the check-in, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to show y'all how we doing it and how the fruit don't fall that far from the tree.
September 7th, 1996, Tupac was shot and killed in a drive-by in Vegas. Then, just 6 months later, March 9th, 1997, Biggie was down in LA and the same fate hit him. Faith's world was crashing down, and in the middle of it all, she started speaking up about how Diddy treated her during that time. In an interview with the New York Times, Faith said Diddy was acting straight up controlling and weird. She even claimed he made her go tanning every other day, just so she wouldn't look too pale. Faith said, Puff used to walk me to the tanning salon every other day because I was pale and he wanted to tan me up. And it wasn't just about her skin. He wanted her to step out looking glamorous all the time. Like, really? Who does that? And here's the part that had people really giving Diddy the side eye: how fast he moved on after Biggie's death. Right after the funeral, Diddy was already pressuring Faith to perform I'll Be Missing You with him and Sting at the 1997 MTV Awards. Faith wasn't even close to being ready. She was deep in mourning. But Diddy kept pushing, and eventually, Faith gave in. That's just cold. Faith told the New York Times that when Diddy wanted her to sing I'll Be Missing You at the MTV Awards with Sting, she really wasn't feeling it. She was still deep in grief, just trying to process everything. But Diddy, he wasn't having it. Faith said Diddy got her on the phone and told her straight up, listen, you ain't about to mess up my thing. She thought if she broke down crying, he'd let her off the hook. But nah, Diddy wasn't budging. He convinced her to go through with it. That's cold, right? The woman's grieving her husband and he's all about the show. Around that time, the whispers were already getting loud. People were saying Diddy might have had something to do with Biggie's death. Or at the very least, he knew it was coming. Think about it. Diddy was the one who pushed Biggie to go out to LA, even though the tension out there was still crazy hot after Tupac's murder. Former Bad Boy exec Kirk Burroughs even claimed Biggie wasn't supposed to be in LA at all. He was supposed to fly to London the day he was killed. But last minute, Diddy made sure Biggie stayed in LA. That's got people raising their eyebrows. And Biggie's mom, Valletta Wallace, she's dropped some hints of her own. In her memoir, she wrote, I believe Sean loved my son after he was dead. She even admitted she used to tell Biggie all the time, don't trust Sean. That's heavy. And in a 2020 interview on The Breakfast Club, Valletta didn't drop names, but she did say there are some folks from back then she still wants to strangle. She said, you know, some of his associates, I still want to strangle them. That says a lot without saying it all. And when it comes to Faith, she's hinted here and there over the years that she didn't love how Diddy acted after Biggie's death. But despite that, she never really cut ties with him. She stayed close, kept working with him, and even praised him publicly. Fast forward to 2018, and boom, out of nowhere, news breaks that Faith Evans and Stevie J just got married in Vegas. Nobody saw it coming, not even their families. It was like the whole thing popped off in secret. TMZ reported at the time that nobody, not a soul, had heard a word about a wedding, not even a whisper of a rumor. Faith was supposed to be in LA, getting ready for a trip to London. And Stevie, he was in Atlanta, filming Love and Hip Hop. Then suddenly, they're married in Vegas. Just like that. Sources told TMZ that people close to them were not happy, especially their kids. And the one who took it the hardest? Biggie's son, CJ. Why? because Stevie J is actually his godfather. Like, imagine finding out your godfather just married your mom in Vegas without even telling you. That's messy. And here's the wild part. Insiders said Stevie showed up just a few days before the wedding and told Faith they had to get married right then and there. One source said it straight. Stevie knew if Faith gave people a heads up, her friends and family would have tried to shut it down. That's manipulative, right? And honestly, it kind of sounds like the same kind of shady moves Stevie could have picked up from hanging around Diddy all those years. And let's keep it real. This whole marriage never really made sense in the first place, especially if you've heard the long-running rumors about Stevie J not exactly being into women like that. Yet despite all that, Stevie stayed loyal to Diddy no matter what. Even after the feds raided Diddy's spots and that federal indictment came down, Stevie was out there on TMZ defending him. He was like, nah, I never saw Diddy do anything shady. That's a bold claim when you consider how deep all these connections run. And check this out. Stevie J even called out 50 Cent, straight up accusing him of being an Uncle Tom just because 50 had the nerve to speak out against Diddy. That's bold. Stevie stayed riding for Diddy no matter what people were saying. Now back to CJ Wallace. Fans are really starting to side-eye the situation. Like, how much influence did Diddy and Stevie J really have over CJ as he was growing up? And why did Faith let Diddy spend so much time around her son, especially knowing what we now know about Diddy's shady behind-the-scenes behavior, especially with young artists in the industry? It's hard not to be suspicious. After Biggie died, Diddy stepped in as a major figure in CJ's life, almost like a mentor. And Faith? She was right there, part of Diddy's inner circle, moving in those same tight spaces. So you gotta wonder, how much did she really see? What did she hear? And why didn't she pull CJ back from that whole scene? Even worse, there were times CJ was around Diddy without Faith being there. That's got folks raising eyebrows, like, why would you let your son be so close to a man with a reputation for wild, out-of-control behavior without you around to keep an eye on things? With everything we know now, it's hard not to wonder what Faith was really thinking and what CJ saw or experienced that we don't know about yet. So with all this new info coming to light about Diddy, folks are really starting to question the choices Faith made back in the day. Like, what was really going on behind the scenes? Was Faith just trying to survive in a shady, male-dominated industry, doing what she had to do to protect her son? Or was she willingly playing the game, going along with Diddy's demands just to keep her career alive? It's hard to tell, right? And what about those whispers? The ones saying Faith might have known about the plot on Biggie's life before it even went down. Was she just caught up in something way bigger than her? Or did she know more than she ever let on? Y'all, I need to hear your thoughts. Drop your opinions in the comments down below. Don't hold back. Let's talk about this. And before you go, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next deep dive into these wild industry stories. I'll catch you in the next one.